quarter. I like that.
Yeah, first, second, third. Yeah, actually, that is kind of good.
Oh yeah, actually,
we can even call this the kickoff.
Season 1, first quarter.
Season 1,
what
first
we
quarter?
just did? Or
No,
what we're doing now?
This right here is Season 1, first quarter.
So all the things we did prior to this is just in the kickoff type or training camp? Preseason, okay.
Yeah. We was
So
in preseason, OTAs, training camps.
I like the first quarter, though.
We in season.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have called our pod that first quarter.
It's too late now.
It's too late. It's too late.
I mean, that ain't we don't really got that many followers. Okay. Mic check. You hear me?
Oh, yeah. Mic check.
Welcome to First and 15th, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with our two-time FFPC champion, AB. Alongside him is our dynasty guru, Dio the Machine. Guys, I want to start off with this quarter one, the first quarter.
We back in the lab.
We are back. I want to talk about every team in the league, but I want to break it down through conference. I want to start off with the AFC East. Let's start off with the Buffalo Bills. Now, the highest drafted player with Buffalo was clearly Diggs. Is he disappointing this season? Do you guys expect to ride with him? Let's talk about Diggs for a second and the Buffalo Bills. How do you guys rank them so far in this first quarter?
I mean, you drafted Diggs in the first round, back in a back into the 1-2 turn. So you obviously you got to ride with him. Oh, yeah. I'm not too necessarily worried about Diggs. When I look at my FFPC shares, home league shares, I don't think I have any shares of Diggs. Maybe one share in a home league. And it wasn't necessarily that I was, wanting to outright fade him. I was just concerned about all the weapons. I had a little bit of concern that Emmanuel Sanders was there. Maybe Dawson Knox comes a little bit more into his own. Cole Beasley's there. You have Gabriel Davis coming in. And then Zach Moss in another year. Maybe they're wanting to be a little bit more balanced. And so there was just so many weapons, and then obviously you have Josh Allen, who's a weapon in himself. So even though it's primarily a passing offense, we've talked about in the past how we love Dable as an offensive coordinator. I think he's been amazing. We'll see if defenses are able to catch up. But overall, I think Josh Allen, especially with his upcoming schedule, is going to pay off his ADP very easily. Stephon Diggs, I think if we did a redraft today, he's probably not going in the first. But this. We're gonna talk about it plenty of times throughout this pod. You got to approach the season in chapters, in quarters, to kind of use the NFL analogy. And part of that is just because defenses get tapes, coaches review film. We've talked about this being sort of kind of a war of attrition. People get hurt, etc. So many things go on that, a guy who is just, destroying the league right now, who's putting up, fantasy points just out the wazoo, eventually will start to fade and then another guy will come up. So, just a reminder, be patient, stick with the process, and realize that a guy who's, maybe not performing so well right now is likely, about to make that turn and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, with Diggs, I'm not worried about Diggs. The thing with Diggs is he's still getting similar looks. He's not scoring touchdowns like people would expect. And I mean, honestly, with fantasy and just football in general, I think you should never try to expect touchdowns. In fantasy, you should more kind of look forward to the type of work people are getting, opportunities. He's getting those opportunities. Let's not forget Josh Allen himself has not really been that impressive up to this point. Last game, I think he had like a 40-point game. But those first 2 weeks, he was kind of underwhelming to Josh Allen's standards. They were in close games. They lost that first game to the Steelers or whatnot.
Excellent game plan.
Yeah, so, they haven't really, shown out this season yet. They do have other weapons. Emmanuel Sanders, we talked about. They still got Cole Beasley still being utilized. Dawson Knox, his last game you saw, he did pretty well. The running game this season has actually been a little bit more useful than it's been in the past. Devin Singletary has actually shown he has a little bit of talent, surprisingly. Zach Moss surprisingly missed that first game. He was a healthy scratch, but then came back week 2, scored 2 touchdowns.
Well, they're saying it maybe wasn't a healthy scratch, but yeah, who knows?
Well, yeah. Well, what are they saying?
They say, I don't know. They say he had like a little knick-knack injury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, other factors are definitely in play. But again, with Diggs, he's still getting that usage. He's still the number one guy there. And, it could easily be a case that defenses are starting to focus more on Diggs compared to the other options. And when that happens, obviously there's going to be consequences there. You got to stick with Diggs, man. Yeah. The talent's there. Yeah. The offense will get better. They're going to adjust. They're playing my Texans this week, and our secondary is trash. So this
that
might be the
zone. He's gonna eat it up.
Yeah, he's gonna eat it up.
You're gonna hear that a lot. Too deep zone, though. About
yeah. So yeah, you definitely want to stick with him. Yeah. I'm not too worried about him. It's a marathon, long season, so we'll kind of see how it goes.
And the last thing with Diggs, I'm just gonna say this because this is gonna be just a general talking point for all first round picks. They're not gonna explode for 20 point plus every single week. That just does not happen. Look at guys like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, etc. Some of these guys are going to be very, very consistent. You're going to have those, 2020 Adams weeks, those 2019 Michael Thomas.
True. Even
weeks.
Adams didn't have a week 1 that was very good too. So
yeah, but for the most part, it's going to be like kind of an ebb and flow. But
there's
you want
variance.
but you want that consistent high floor, and that's what you want out of your first round pick. So we good with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Miami for a second. Tua is out. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Is there any fantasy value in Miami right now with Tua being out? I know that we were sort of, I wouldn't say high on Tua, but he was someone that we were expecting to draft and hoping that he was going to pick up later.
Right. Yeah. And, I think we still don't know, okay? Because, obviously, with the news that just came out, he's on IR, so he'll be out, full 3 weeks. We still don't know. There was some promise. I saw some good things. Ooh, man. Okay. We want to pause? Or
No, it's all good.
All right. Keep the party going.
Keep the party going.
Keep the party going. Keep the party going.
Yeah, so, I saw some promise, but obviously he got injured. We really haven't seen Miami with them being fully healthy with those complementary weapons. Right. So, jury's still out. I would just say hold. You never want to sell a player.
No, wait. You're holding Tua?
No, I'm not holding Dolphins. No, I'm holding Dolphins.
Okay, I got you.
In terms
of
you can
let Tua go.
Yeah, Waddle. Yeah, drop Tua. Yeah. Don't hold on to a second quarterback.
Right.
I mean, unless you're in a 2-quarterback league, don't hold on to a second quarterback who's on IR. It's just not worth it.
Right.
Unless said quarterback is Josh Allen, etc.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, I'm holding on those guys. If I'm in home leagues, I'm not looking to sell. If I need a roster spot, I'm not necessarily feeling a huge need to hold on to a guy like Devontae Parker or Jalen Waddle. Maybe Waddle I try to hold on to. Fuller being a boom bust, you knew what you were getting with that anyway. Right. The one guy that I would say who looks like, I just want to continue to keep an eye on it as far as snap countage goes, as far as targets go, is Gesicki. And what hurts is that, obviously Tua's not in there right now. Mm-hmm. And so if we plan on Tua coming back, which is a question mark.
Right.
We kind of talked about this, coaches, they seem pretty quick to put him on IR without, x-rays showing, fully broken ribs. So they may have been, they may have saw something in practice and felt like, somebody else gave him a better shot. Yeah, exactly. Gave him an excuse. But I want to see what Gesicki looks like over the next few weeks. So, even if that's not Tua, that's a guy that I was not very high on, but, we saw him, show out a little bit last game.
Like we always say in our group chat, context is everything. I mean, the biggest context or the biggest change that we have to definitely take into account right now is the quarterback has changed. Mm-hmm. We were looking at the Dolphins coming into the season as it was going to be a Tua-led offense. We were expecting to make that jump. He got hurt, fractured ribs or whatever. Now that Jacoby Brissett is taking the snaps, we really don't know. I mean, we've seen Brissett in the league for a while, but we really don't know his tendencies. Mm-hmm. We really don't know where he typically likes to go with the football, his style of play. I think we can say he probably likes to run a little bit more because he has a big body, especially like short, yardage. He'll definitely take it up the middle. But, it might be a situation where Brissett prefers his tight ends, And if that's the case, context has now totally changed. Yep. Now Gesicki has value, and we can't ignore that. Now, I will say this. Devontae Parker has been underwhelming with
Very.
Tua and with Brissett. He's getting the targets. He might even be one of the leaders on the team with targets. But he's just not doing much with them.
Yeah.
He's getting like
Agreed.
between 40 and 60 yards a game. That's not gonna really win you weeks. That's that consistent floor. If you even want that floor, it's not exciting.
You can find that anywhere.
Right. Now Waddle, he's kind of becoming like a PPR machine.
They're scheming him the ball.
Yeah.
You have to hold Waddle.
And he's still a rookie. You would think he's gonna keep getting better. He just came back off of an injury in college. So I would think every week he's getting healthier and healthier and learning the scheme. And like you said, the other receiver, Fuller, he's a boom and bust guy. We know Fuller from Houston. He's a deep threat. I don't think he did too many deep plays in his first game back. I know he had one deep play they called a pass interference that I saw.
Yeah. They just missed him.
But other than that, they worked him in a little bit. He did run some shorter routes, so that was kind of cool. He got that 2-point conversion that helped him go into overtime. And Fuller will get better, especially as he get more acclimated to the team.
But speaking of getting better, let's talk about the New England Patriots.
Oh, sorry, real quick. Gaskin, hold. Okay, it's still, time will tell.
I don't know what's going on with that Miami backfield.
Yeah, just hold Gaskin. Everybody else obviously ignore,
Yeah.
but just don't drop him. Just hold. Just for now, just hold.
Yeah, don't drop him. But I don't know what to do with that Miami backfield.
So we kept getting DMs and kept getting messages about people wanting us to pod every single week and to keep the pod going every week. And we decided to do this every single quarter instead of every week because we wanted sort of like the landscape to sort of clear a little bit instead of, just giving a pod every single week. When we started this season, we didn't know what to make of that backfield. And now in the first quarter, we still don't know what to make of that backfield.
Right.
I mean, do you guys expect like Gaskin to really take that step
What
forward?
I'm really looking for is not necessarily something from Gaskin. Gaskin is who he is. That offensive line is who that offensive line is, and their scheme
It's a
is what
horrible
their
offensive
scheme.
line, by the way.
It is. It is. What I want to see is whether or not this offense can take off. Okay, they have receiving weapons there, wide receivers and tight end. Okay, and it looks like they want to push the ball a little bit, especially in the passing game. So if this becomes a little bit more of a potent offense, that means more potential opportunities for Gaskin, especially around the goal line. But if Malcolm Brown continues to get what Malcolm Brown's been getting, obviously this can be a little bit more of an issue. So if the offense, again, takes off, if Tua comes back and they start clicking, I'm a little bit more interested.
Now,
if not, I'm concerned.
Let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Since the day Tua went down, the Watson chatter has gotten really loud. Deshaun Watson, as far as the Dolphins.
Okay.
They're talking like, they might consider, and even them putting him on IR, a little bit suspicious. It might be a situation where they're trying to make that play. Of course, it takes two to tango. But just to put that out there, if Deshaun Watson does go with the Dolphins, man, everybody wheels up.
Everybody will.
Yeah.
Everybody. Super wheels up. Honestly, personally, I think they might, if he gets traded, they might put him immediately on the commissioner's list, but nobody knows. If he plays, like I said, that offense could be a thing. But again, I don't know what's going on with that Dolphins backfield. Malcolm Brown scored a touchdown. And, that's a guy I was kind of talking up a little bit in
20
the
plus yards, I
offseason.
think.
Yeah, it was a nice little run.
But don't start Malcolm Brown.
Yeah, don't.
Don't even pick him up.
Ahmed, I don't even think he got any work last game, but I think the first week he had the most carries. It's so weird, and it's just frustrating, but I don't know.
Weird like this New England Patriots backfield. Listen, I like Damian Harris. Actually, Dial, you sold me on Damian Harris.
Yeah.
I told you don't do it.
He started off good, though. He had 100 yards in the first game?
But what I said specifically was he's a matchup play. And there are certain guys just like that. Like I said, Jacobs was a matchup. Certain guys are just matchup plays. So if you can envision the Patriots being in a neutral game or a positive game script situation, then that's when Damian Harris should thrive. He's a good running back. I agree with you on that. Now, James White is out for the year likely. That report just came out today. So I think that potentially helps Damian Harris out. Even if he can get 1 to 2 targets a game, and he's gotten some targets in certain games, that could potentially help him out just a little bit. 1 to 2 targets helps out a little bit.
So what I've been seeing this week is, especially from this last game, the Patriots were not happy with Damian Harris's pass protection at all.
No, they weren't.
And because of that, he barely got any burn this last game, which is why Brandon Bolden, old Brandon Bolden,
That seems to be a common thing around
like the
league.
2-3 term like Patriot, like he's left, came back like twice. He got a lot of snaps. So, and I don't want to also forget that week 1 or maybe it was week 2, Damian Harris fumbled the ball. It was week 1 against the Dolphins. He fumbled the ball in the fourth quarter where the Patriots had an opportunity to win the game. And I think his fumble pretty much is what lost the game for them. So all that stuff is making me kind of like, oh, you're messing it up, Damon. For you. Like it's not happening. Like
They shouldn't have traded Sonny Michel. But I mean, let's not belabor the.
Right. No, Bill Belichick though is one of those.
Told y'all to stay away. I told y'all to stay away.
He's one of those coaches where if you mess up, like you have very few chances. Don't forget.
But he got run the very next game.
Oh, he did.
But I think pass protection. I think they take that a little bit more
it's
serious.
like 2 strikes now.
AKA
and also,
Kenyon Drake.
Also, I think the reason he got run that second game is because not only did he fumble, but don't forget Ramondre Stevenson messed up that first game.
Right.
So he can't bench both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he can, but he wasn't really trying to go that route. So
they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. But again, he's just messing up his chances, man. Trade for running backs. I heard they were bringing in running backs to work out this week.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, man.
Quick question. So far, have you guys started any New York Jet?
Oh, we're not going to even talk about the receivers, the receiving options with the Patriots?
With Mac Jones as the quarterback, should we talk about?
Yeah, we got to talk about it.
Yeah,
we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it because number one, James White is out, so he was getting targets.
Right.
Those targets have to go to somewhere. So obviously, I was not a huge Jacoby Meyer guy. I was actually more Nelson Aguilar, especially given like the huge discount.
Mm-hmm. And he's available in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, but now Jacoby Myers becomes potentially that possession guy. I know Kendrick Bourne was the one that went off.
That's what I was gonna say.
But look for Myers to provide some steady PPR options. So the problem with this though is I'm really gonna be paying attention to the next 2 or 3 weeks because what I'm paying attention to is, again, when they're in game neutral situations.
Are they going to open up the playbook?
Oh yeah, they're going to be running 3 wide receiver sets. Are they going to be running 2 wide receiver sets? Are they running 3 wide receiver sets? Which tight ends out there?
That's what I'm saying. What are they going to do with these tight ends though?
You paid them all this.
I know.
All this money,
and they're not using them like that.
Not really using them. It's
either
frustrating.
of them. Two good, strong young tight ends. So it's weird what's going on.
And I'm not frustrated from a standpoint of like, okay, man, I'm mad that I drafted him. Like, you have to draft based off of the information that you have, and we cannot look at this from a standpoint of saying they're misusing these guys or they're not doing this correctly. Jonnu Smith is the guy that I was hoping that would.
What has Hunter Henry done? Has he done anything at all?
Not anything of significance. I mean, he's getting 3 to 4 targets a game here or there, but not really doing much with them. He's running more routes to Jonnu, but I think Jonnu is probably seeing more targets based on the routes that he's run. At least just that's from an eye test.
Listen, as long as Mac Jones is the quarterback of the New England Patriots, I'm selling. Listen, you can only go so far by checking down and running screens, and I just don't see them opening up the playbook for Mac.
Give him time.
Yeah, give him time, man. Give him time, man.
Remember quarters. Okay.
All right, sure. We can't give that much time to Zach Wilson though, because Zach Wilson. Listen, had a whole training camp. He's a rookie as well. Let's talk about the Jets. Again, I want to go back to that original question. Have either of you guys started a single Jet this season?
I started Corey Davis, I think week 1 and actually last week too. Week 1 he did pretty okay.
Week 1 he paid off.
Yeah, week 1 he did. Week 2 he was horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Look, I told y'all, leave the Jets alone. I told you it's gonna be a bad team. Yeah. This is the thing, and I didn't know they were gonna be a bad team. This is much worse than I had anticipated. But it was just for me, it was just too many new variables. New head coach, new OC, rookie quarterback, and they didn't even bring in a veteran. They didn't bring in a veteran to at least just even be in his ear and provide some guidance. They brought in no one. Yeah. I thought the O-line was going to be a little bit better, but even before they lost Mekhi Becton, they were still trash. And then once he was gone, it was just wide open floodgates.
Right.
And Wilson, as much as we love the talent, he is just so green, so inexperienced in terms of just
that whole offense is just looking really bad. But let's not ignore Braxton Berrios. He played good the first 2 weeks.
Don't start any Jets.
I'm not starting him at all. I don't even think he did very well this past week. Crowder's hopefully coming back this week. We'll see what he does. Elijah Moore, the guy that everybody was so excited about, he's done nothing. And now he has a concussion. So he's gone for maybe a week or so. So I really don't know what's going on. And let's not even forget the running backs.
Yeah.
All of them are just blah.
And Tevin Coleman was inactive last game. Look,
No, he was sick. He was sick.
He was sick, but he was like inactive, and still none of the running backs really
Michael
did
Carter
anything.
didn't do much. I mean, Michael Carter is now starting to look like he's taking hold of that backfield.
This is what I would be, what I would say, because there's always these sexy names throughout the year. Elijah Moore, not Tevin Coleman, but Michael Carter. Don't be scared to drop these guys, especially if you're in shallow bench leagues.
I'm dropping Elijah Moore.
Don't be scared at all to drop these guys. Okay, you got 3 weeks of information. Unless you can tell yourself a story, you can see a certain narrative where this may, end up working itself out. Don't hold on to dead weight, okay?
Right.
If you're in deep bench leagues, maybe obviously, but like if you need a roster spot, like don't be scared to drop some of these guys.
If you're in my leagues though, you can hold on to that dead weight. Just hold on to him.
FFPC is gonna be hard to drop a guy like Michael Carter, but
no, I wouldn't drop Michael Carter though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't drop him
hold on to
because
him.
I think he can gain value over time. He's a running back, especially if he gains that starting role.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore, on the other hand, I don't know if I can really bank on him being
especially with Jay Crowder coming back.
Yeah, like he's getting more people coming in to take some of that pie.
But this was my issue with Corey Davis, okay? He's just not a good receiver.
I still kind of like Corey Davis.
He's not a good receiver, okay?
I'm giving him a chance.
You're going to have to hope that he goes up against the zone,
and
a zone defense, and that he plays a team that is basically just allowing them to just like get a little dump off. Because you saw last week, Denver wanted that shutout.
Mm-hmm. They played to the very last whistle.
Yeah, so if they maybe put up like 7-10 points, and usually at that point defenses are like, all right, you can have these little dump offs and just kind of get the game going.
Right.
It's going to be garbage time for him.
The only reason why I still have or I consider Corey Davis with a little bit of value is because he's still the receiver that Wilson tends to go with the most.
True. And
they're going to be losing all these games, so they're going to always have these negative game scripts, which means they're going to be passing from quarter 1 all the way to quarter 4. It's never going to be a situation where they're trying to run the clock out. And you never know what happens. I mean, garbage points are still points.
Honestly, I think they really need to bring in a veteran quarterback. He can, he just can't make these adjustments at the line. He can't, in terms of just like being, blitz pickups and protections, and you can see he's struggling.
I mean, they're throwing him out there in the wolves straight up. Like they're just like figure it out. I'm trying to get defenses that are playing against the Jets because they're giving up so much defensive fantasy
the Jets,
points.
Defensive backfield. We thought they was going to be like one of the worst secondaries in the league. Looking pretty good.
The Jets?
The secondary. So
the secondary's looking good?
If there's one bright spot,
Well, but they just lost Marcus May for a few weeks, and he was their best safety.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
So let's move to the NFC East. Everybody's favorite team to talk about. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's get them out the way.
Whoa, what?
Everybody's favorite team to talk about.
No, okay. If you want to talk about them, since they're y'all favorite team to talk about.
Don't say y'all. Don't put me in that
Favorite
conversation.
team to talk about. Listen, if you watch
put me in that conversation.
If you watch any sports show,
well, I guess I'm not
they're
everybody.
going to start the show with the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, man, come on.
3 to 5 days out of the week.
Let's
So let's just talk about them for a second.
Okay, we can talk about them.
Now, you guys know how I feel about Zeke. I want to talk about Zeke for a
How do you
second.
feel about Zeke?
Tell everybody how you feel about
How you
Zeke.
feel about Zeke?
Yeah.
Zeke is old, man.
We had to talk this man off a ledge.
Listen. No, I think Pollard is the running back that's going to take the Dallas Cowboys like to that next level.
Wow.
I think
You're kind of watering it down for the show, but okay.
Listen, I think towards the end of the season, Pollard is gonna get the lion's share of the carries and the lion's share of the snaps.
This has nothing to do with fantasy, but look, okay. I'm so sick and tired of people hearing people say, "Oh, Pollard is a better running back than Zeke." No, he is not. Okay, he is not.
He is.
The fact that he comes in, okay, and relieves Zeke and looks more spry, that occurs for a reason. Zeke is doing much more than just running the ball or running routes. He's also picking up blitz, something that Tony Pollard is not very good at.
I don't want my $90 million running back picking up blitzes.
He's doing it all. He does it all. Not just one thing. No. He does it all. If you run Tony Pollard into the line 20-plus times a game and then ask him to pick up blitz on passing plays, et cetera, he is going to – you give him about 3 or 4 games and he's not going to look as spry. I can guarantee you that.
But here's the thing. We only ask about 5 or 6 running backs throughout the entire league to do that. How many running backs are getting 20 to 25 carries a game?
Look,
there are not many.
We talked about at the very beginning, when we started shooting pods. The huge difference in this year is that there's an additional game. You cannot discount that. You cannot underestimate that. And teams know that. Mm-hmm. They said this last year that they wanted to keep Zeke fresh for the playoffs. This is by design. This is not, oh, Pollard looks so good, let's keep Zeke on the sideline. No, Zeke didn't play at all in the preseason. Okay? This is let's keep Zeke fresh. Let's keep him fresh for when we need those 20 to 25 carries a game. And when we don't, let's get Tony Pollard in the game. Yeah. That's all this is.
Here's my last thing. I think Zeke is only good if he's getting 25 plus carries a game.
And that was not the case last night.
With this,
on Monday.
All right. With this receiving core, they clearly want to push the ball down the field. They do not want to run Zeke 25 times a game because they got Amari Cooper. They got CeeDee Lamb.
And
they're going to get Gallup back.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't think they want to run the ball that much, and I don't think that Zeke is going to be as useful as he has in the past if he's not a bell cow.
You brought up a very good point that they have all these passing weapons, and that if they want it, they can just throw it. Guess what? Teams know that. So the last two teams that they have faced have been playing two deep zones and been taking away that deep ball. They've been playing for the pass, and they've been begging them or encouraging them to run. And what has Dallas done? They've been very smart. They didn't do what Philadelphia did, which is fall for the bait and just throw, and sort of kind of go completely unbalanced. No, they said we're going to take what the defense is giving them. And we talked about offensive coordinators that I just love, and I love to draft players from these teams. Kellen Moore is one of those guys, and he is smart. You saw the game plan.
Boise State quarterback.
You saw what they did against Tampa Bay was very different than what they did against the Chargers, which was very different than what they did. Well, not very different, but the Chargers and the Eagles, they went in with specific game plans based off of the defensive schemes that they were facing. So they didn't sit there and say, okay, let's get Dak and have him throw 60 passes a game. They said, no, defense is giving us to run, and they ate on the ground. That's what you do.
Dio.
Now, I mean, I'm letting y'all talk about Zeke, whatever. But I want to talk about the Cowboys receivers.
All right.
Because personally, I was high on CeeDee Lamb. I was also lukewarm high on Amari. That first game, they looked great. Both of them did well. CeeDee Lamb had a few drop issues that first game. Amari Cooper went off. Looked like the best receiver in the NFL. But these last two games, they've been kind of – I mean, CeeDee had one long pass on Monday Night Football, but Amari, to go from a 20, 30-point game week one, these last two games, I think 5 points or less. It's what are we getting there? And it's not that Dak is not throwing the ball. Dak is throwing the ball. Dak has been looking great,
Amazing. That's the issue. He's throwing it to the guys that open.
And that's the thing. He's spreading it so much. Should we be a little concerned with these receivers that we were high on?
I feel like this is very unique. Not unique to this year, but I feel like we're seeing it more often that because it's just when you go team to team, there's just so many different weapons that are available. Teams are now, game planning and scheming well in advance, game by game. And you saw, it was not a fluke that Schultz put up the numbers that he put up. That was a specific game plan because they saw something on film. They saw the two deep safeties, and they figured, we can attack the intermediate routes and up the seam with our tight ends. And they also had them on some tight end screens. They specifically game planned for that, to get their tight ends involved and to run Zeke. Right. That was the game plan. So it wasn't an issue of Zeke and CeeDee not playing well. It was that teams are now scheming towards that. So how do we play that towards fantasy? That's tough. I mean, if you have the roster to be able to sit guys like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, because you can really figure out it's tough. So, maybe next year, going into next year, and this kind of next level, and I think it's going to be hard to do, but going into next year with some of these teams where the target tree is not as narrow,
we're going to depress everybody's value a little bit.
So the idea, and that's why the idea of taking, CeeDee ahead of Jefferson to me just didn't make a lot of sense.
CeeDee wasn't going ahead of Jefferson.
He wasn't, but at some points he was going a little bit, a little bit further.
They were close to each other.
Yeah, they were close to each other.
One thing I want to comment on is, in a fair amount of the leagues I'm in, I saw Gallup dropped. I think that was a big mistake.
Oh yeah, I picked him up.
I think that was a big mistake. Like just because these guys are getting injured, I saw Jarvis Landry dropped. They're gonna come back, man.
Yeah.
IR is a 3-week thing. Now it's no guarantee they're gonna be back at 3 weeks. It might be 4, it might be 5, but they're coming back unless they have a setback, of course. Don't just get rid of your talent don't forget, this is we always say it's a marathon. You know, it's a long journey.
Yep.
Once we get to week 10, you're gonna literally forget everything that we're thinking about in week 3 and 4. Like you're gonna forget about it.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel like it was like ages ago. And then you're gonna think to yourself, especially if you had Gallup and you dropped and Gallup puts up a 2 touchdown game, you're like, damn, why did I drop this guy for nothing?
Why did I drop him for Dalton Schultz?
Right, or Jack Doyle or something like that. Yeah. You know, so you know, be patient. And you said that when we were doing the preseason show. Be patient, man. You know,
Man.
These guys are not going to like everything we thought about these players leading up to the season. We didn't expect it to all just kind of just be that way week 1.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff kind of has to play out. You know, let it play out. You know, give yourself space, give yourself a buffer. Because when we look back at the end of the season, you're gonna be happy that you were patient with it.
And I'm not and last thing I'm gonna piggyback off of that, I'm not drafting these guys thinking that I'm drafting Gallup and I'm planning on starting them 16 games. No, I'm drafting Gallup as like, okay, I got a weapon, okay, and then when the right moment comes, I'm gonna deploy that weapon. Yeah. So like this past week, I know I got a lot of teams, but I was able to play guys like Emmanuel Sanders what I needed in a pitch. Those guys. I
played Cole Beasley who came through.
Cole Beasley, and when you just have rosters where you can just like insert these guys. You know how I was like high on Alexander Madison. When you can just deploy these guys, it may only be a 2 or 3 weeks here or there, but those are important weeks.
Those are valuable, yeah.
Those are valuable.
Yeah.
So I want to, before we move on to this next team, I want to apologize to Deo because I laughed at him. I think you laughed at this player with me. We laughed at Taylor Heineke, the quarterback.
We didn't laugh. We laughed for a good reason, though. Number one, he's not been playing well. Okay, let's not. He putting up fantasy points. That's what we care about.
I want to apologize because I'm starting him this week.
Hey.
Okay, yeah, you gotta apologize if you start them.
I'm starting him this week in 2 of my teams.
You were talking bad about Taylor just 2 weeks ago.
I was.
Just 2 weeks ago.
I was.
No,
opportunity arises, man. Take this is you.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
Listen, Curtis Samuel should be coming back soon.
I think he said he practiced today too.
He practiced today. T-Mac still there. Gibson still there. Is this the only team that can really push the Cowboys for that NFC East division?
No. This team is not good. Okay, number one, the defense is nowhere
near.
That's
the big disappointment right there, man.
Big issue.
Because the thing with the defense was going to be able to get them by.
Yeah.
The defense is going to be able to keep them in games where the offense, can do a thing, just be sufficient enough to just put up some points, and then they can win games. But if the defense is going to be as lackadaisical as they've been, they have no shot, especially against the that Dallas team. So,
and from a fantasy standpoint, like I said, I had kind of that rant on Antonio Gibson and the idea of like why I didn't, was not high on him as like being like the top 2 or top 3, and he could potentially still get there, but. The reason that we discussed in the preseason in terms of J.D. McKissick still being there, because everyone, we brought this up in so many different episodes. You got to try to avoid listening to quotes because the guy who put out the quote about him being in the turbo package or whatever they call their hurry up, I then heard him like on Sirius XM talk about, well, he wasn't in there all the time, but this is the first time they actually included him in that package. Yeah. But the quotes were basically like, oh, now Antonio Gibson's he's got all the hurry up work, and that was never the case. Yeah. So that quote was taken so far out of context because we wanted Antonio Gibson to take it to that next level, and that happens so much in fantasy where we want something to happen, and it's an issue. Not to say that he's a bad pick, but I didn't want to like necessarily have to reach for him.
His value was higher than we probably should have had it, honestly. Yeah. But I will say with Gibson, week 1, specifically with McKissick, week 1 I think McKissick only had 1 touch, so it was looking like Gibson was gonna get that type of role that we were all expecting. Then week 2 happened. I think it was Thursday Night Football. And McKissick just went crazy. He got a lot of work, and he got that touchdown. And then we were like, oh, wow, we were all wrong on Gibson. McKissick is a value. But then last week occurs, and McKissick only gets like maybe about 4 touches. So it's almost like Jekyll and Hyde a little bit, you know.
But what I care about specifically is just like who's in there in the hurry up, who's in there on the third down, like who's getting opportunities.
And real quick, Gibson's touchdown was a passing touchdown.
Yeah.
but
he
it
took
was
it like 70 yards.
Yeah, and that's why you draft him like in the second round for that. So I'm not saying he's a bad pick, but like it was never some guy that I was just like. I mean, everyone was so excited. Like
I was
when
excited
people
about him.
when people like looked at like draft boards like. If your team had Antonio Gibson in, you were probably getting some good remarks.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I think it, and we'll see. Time
If they
will
give him
tell.
that passing work,
Yeah.
it'll be worth it. But they're just it's like
Just
they're
doing
not
it,
committed to giving
But
him
this
that
is the thing
passing
is
work.
that like we want that to happen, but like you can't be upset because J.D. McKissick
doing his thing.
He's a good third
Yeah,
down back.
he's
He's a
doing
good
his thing,
hurry up
yeah.
back. So we cannot be upset and just say they're doing the wrong thing. They're not really doing the wrong thing. They're doing what works best for them. They're in the business of winning games.
And let's go back to the defense. The fact that the defense is not doing their part,
Yeah.
Gibson is not getting those game scripts where he can literally just, be like Zeke and just get those 15 to 20 carries. They're having to use McKissick a lot more because they're having to come back, so.
The one McKissick blow-up game was on a Thursday night, so we know we traditionally see running backs get, smaller workloads or
That's
lesser
true.
workloads.
That's
So we
true.
got to keep that in mind.
Coming off of a
But
game, yeah.
So, real quick, Terry McLaurin, I didn't end up with a lot of Terry McLaurin. I thought I liked Terry McLaurin, and then you go back and look, and you're like, okay, I really didn't like Terry McLaurin. I know you weren't on him.
No,
I did like, Logan Thomas.
Yeah, you did.
Not when he was like moving up to the, back
Sixth
into the
round.
fifth,
Yeah,
sixth. But when I was getting him in the seventh round routinely, and he's been, he's not blowing up, but he's been very steady. And tight end position is like, even guys like T.J. Hawkinson who fluctuate. So that's been pretty good to see. And then we'll see about your boy Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, how did T-Mac look this last game?
I thought he looked okay. I mean, like he put up a decent day.
He didn't look like he looked Thursday night, right?
No,
Because Thursday
no.
night he got 20 targets, like it was crazy.
He's still getting a high target percentage.
Okay.
So Heineke likes him. So it bodes well. Like he's definitely gonna have
see
his
what
weeks.
because this goes all the way back to episode 1 of our show. Maybe it was episode 2. The reason why I wasn't as high on T-Mac is because of how high I was on Curtis Samuel and what I felt like he brought to that offense. Now that Curtis Samuel is coming back now I backed off a little bit because of this injury. These groin injuries, they can linger, and we don't know what type of Curtis Samuel we're gonna get. But
This is why I'm not taking my victory lap on Logan Thomas.
well, you're waiting on to see what
Because if Curtis
does?
Samuel comes back and he like regresses, then you're like,
Yeah.
what you described made sense.
Right,
We can't
right.
take victory laps off.
Right.
Of,
And
injuries.
I want to see how Curtis Samuel does. I mean, the whole offense. I want to see how the whole offense looks when Curtis Samuel comes back. And I did say the offense will look better with Taylor Heineke, but whatever.
You did. You did. I'll give it to you. I will give it
I'm not
to
taking the
you.
big. It was injury, so it's whatever. But
Hey,
just
yeah.
know Taylor Heineke didn't make the offense worse that you would expect from a
he
backup
not.
quarterback.
He not.
And he runs that ball, man. You saw the run he did last game where he died at the pylon. That was kind of impressive. I didn't know he had that in
I
him.
dedefinitely am picking up Taylor Heineke.
Well, he's starting him. Shoot, I haven't even picked.
Starting him.
I don't know about starting him.
Not this week.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
starting
he gonna
this
score
week.
like 4 touchdowns this week, and
Right,
Chris gonna be in
right.
the group chat like, see.
Yeah.
So as quiet as it's kept, Jalen Hurts, last time I checked, was QB5.
Yeah.
As quiet as
I think at 4. Didn't I post it today? 4.
Was it 4 or 5?
I think
I
it
guess
was 4.
depending
But
on,
obviously-
depending on scoring format.
top 5 quarterback.
Which is crazy because he's been terrible.
He has not been terrible.
Okay, he hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been
Their
terrible.
team has been terrible.
Even in the Dallas game, I think I think it was more offensive coordinator issues. Like I wouldn't say that I watched watching that entire game. I wouldn't say that he played absolutely terrible. Yeah, he made some bad throws here. He's
That
still a
first
young
interception
quarterback.
was just flowing, like he floated into the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, like what was
It
that?
was so. Look on that play. I want to say it was either Quez Watkins or Jalen Rieger. He had his man beat.
I think it was Rieger.
Yeah, I think it was Rieger. He had his man beat. Okay, so you add a little bit 2 or 3
what I'm
yards.
saying,
We're
like,
having a different discussion.
get it out
so
there.
I'm not gonna belabor points like that where he makes a bad throw.
Well, but
Those-
this is why I
those
say
happen.
this is why I've been disappointed in Hurts. And again, he has been top 5. So he's been a top fantasy quarterback. But the reason why I haven't been as happy with his production is he's not running the ball the way we wanted him to run.
He'll get there.
Hopefully.
He'll get there.
Hopefully. But if he can run the ball like Kyler's running the ball,
Yeah.
You can see he like mentally watching him, and quarterbacks. I think these cornerbacks do this at times, and they should not. They should just go with their instincts. At times they're like
in the pocket.
Yeah, they want to be a quarter. Yeah, they want to be that pocket quarterback.
They want to prove everybody that they can do
just
what
run.
they say they can do.
Run.
Yeah,
Jalen, just run. It's okay.
Man, we need those points. We need those fantasy points. Just
But he
go.
came through in garbage time.
He did.
You got a little.
Hey, I remember I was mad the whole night. I was like, he's dead to me. Like,
He's dead.
Patience. Relax.
I know, man. I was mad on Monday.
Yeah.
I was mad. Okay, I was mad because I got a dynasty league I was in. I got Jalen Hurts. I was down by 8 points going into the game. I was like, man. I was even putting in the group chat like, I'm about to kill it today, man. This is nothing. Like, I'm excited about the game. Going to the third quarter, I was down by like 6 points.
That's crazy.
I'm like, come on, but he came through it at the end.
He came through.
Let's talk about the New York Football Giants. Saquon.
Oh wait,
looks
sorry. To keep interrupting you. We got to talk about the other players. So okay, Miles Sanders, his ADP was appropriate if in terms of like I think he ended up in the 5th round.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna, they didn't run the ball enough. That'll correct itself. Okay, you're gonna have these random games.
Now let me ask you this. But speaking on that, are we gonna ignore Gainwell?
That's what I was about to say. Right.
Because that's a serious threat.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
Okay.
He's not getting third down work. He's not getting hurry up work. When they are down. And
remember in the group chat when you were like, you need Miles Sanders to come through, and you were like, you're gonna get those checkdowns.
Right.
Yeah. We were like, but then when it happened, it was actually Gainwell getting that work.
Right.
That is a no. That's important.
That was a concern.
Wait for Miles Sanders to have a really, really good game and then sell him.
Jump ship. Get out of there.
Yeah. And I literally just traded for him, but I needed running back help. So
yeah. Okay.
Oh, and then as far as tight end goes, okay, yeah. Ertz is cannibalizing. Ertz and Goddard, they're cannibalizing each other.
But they're
still
producing, though.
They're still producing,
But
and when we're getting them in the
capping
8th round,
yeah.
I mean, I was taking them in the 6th at some points, which is not smart looking back retrospectively. But and then Devontae Smith, hold tight.
No, Devontae's gonna be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Diggs just shut him down.
Yeah,
we've been talking about Diggs for weeks.
Hey, Diggs. I'm a fan. I hate the Cowboys, but I'm a fan of that boy. Hey, he
which is important because now when he goes up against the other team's number one, you have to take that into consideration.
Yep.
And so who are they playing this week?
The Panthers.
DJ
Moore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who?
Robbie
We'll wait.
Moore.
We'll wait.
Okay.
The Panthers.
Disregard what I just said.
Let's talk about the Giants. Saquon, how do you guys feel about Saquon now? Do you still feel good about drafting him mid-first, back of the first, in some instances, like early 2nd round? How do you guys feel about Saquon with how he's looked so far?
Saquon looking real good right now. Now the Giants O-line is looking like the Giants O-line. Really, their biggest issue is Jason Garrett, and this was a big issue. And I don't know. This was definitely me wishful thinking. I talked about Daniel Jones really kind of being able to kind of come through and and have some fantasy value this year, and maybe Galladay breaking through. It ended up being Sterling Shepard, but now Shepard is out. Yeah. But this team has weapons, okay? They have a good running back who can also catch balls. They have Kadarius Toney, a rookie who's electric. Yeah. They, when Shepard comes back, obviously they have Evan Ingram, who's a very athletic tight end if he can just get things together.
Right.
And then you got Kenny Galladay, and even behind him you have Darius Slayton, and you have Colin Johnson, who everybody forgot about, who's a big body wide receiver from Texas. So this offense has weapons. They are just held back by their offensive coordinator. We all just gotta. I don't like wishing anyone to get fired, but we all gotta hope and wish and pray Jason Garrett gets. Look, he's well off.
Yeah,
he's
good. He doesn't need more work. Like he's good. He can retire. His family's good.
All right. Go consult with someone, but please, let's all put up a prayer. Let's hope Jason Garrett, because his sacrifice, getting fired, will help out so many.
Boy, call it sacrifice. Seriously, let's give kudos to Abby because he had his little rant on the Giants and Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones has been playing pretty well. Give Daniel Jones a little bit of respect, especially the fact that he's running, and we talked about the fact that because he ran as much as he ran, it gave him a fair floor. So let's not ignore that. And I'm not going to belabor the point on the Giants. I think you touched on a lot of good things. I'm still happy with Saquon. When we talked about Saquon, we talked about the fact that we probably expected a slow start, which is exactly how it played out. Literally every week thus far, he's improved more and more and more. Remember after we watched the week 2 game, we were literally in our group chats like week 3, we're putting him in there. Like we feel like he's ready. He didn't have a blow up game, but he scored. He got all the work. They deactivated Devontae Booker,
Great sign.
so he was no threat at all. And I would expect this upcoming week to even look better.
Yeah.
Now,
of note, real quick, sorry to interject. They deactivated Booker, but Brightwell and Elijah Penny were active. So just kind of note that.
Penny's a fullback though. Penny's a fullback.
He's a fullback, but he actually got some third down work too.
Well, he in college I think he was a tailback.
Yeah.
I think he's been converted to fullback with.
But I think Brightwell is the actual backup. So just if you're holding on to Devontae Booker, you should have let him
if you're
go.
looking for a handcuff, it would probably be.
You should let him go week 1.
But I want to mention one thing. In the dynasty world, a lot of people were very sour going into rookie drafts or even this season on Kadarius Toney. I ain't gonna lie, I drank the Kool-Aid quite a bit myself. I saw him in Florida. I saw what he did, but he was a senior, and he really didn't produce his first 3 years in college. So everybody was like, late breakout age. He's not really much of anything. But this last game, when I saw him get that ball, that boy is a joystick.
I'm telling you.
Like, he's an electric joystick. If they can figure out ways, because I think the first 2 weeks, I think he had made like 1 or 2 touches. So he wasn't getting a lot of work. In this last game, because I think he was complaining about it, so it was one of those squeaky wheel type things, so they gave him a lot more work this week 3. If they can scheme him, especially now with Shepard hurt, Slayton hurt, Ingram just now coming back, Galladay still kind of on a mend from his injury. Yeah. If they can just say, hey, let's just get the ball in this guy's hands and see what happens, he might become a thing.
This is exactly what this offense needed. You know how we talked about, when we get to Carolina, we'll talk about how, Moore just kind of can transform that offense. This is exactly what Toney can be for these offense. This is why, okay, if you're going to draft a guy in the first round, this is why you do it. Not necessarily to have to try to get him 8 to 10 touches a game, but to make opposing defenses have to scheme and think about it. And when a defense has to, dedicate resources and thought to a certain player, that opens things up for other players. And that's what we need as Saquon Barkley owners. We need defenses to be worried about other players.
Something else,
And I agree with you. He looked great. And since this is not going to get posted until after our waivers, man, we've been picking up Kadarius Toney. He's been all through our group chat.
Kadarius Toney, yes, sir.
All right, let's move to the AFC West. Let's talk about, I think, the biggest surprise this season, the Kansas City Chiefs not looking like the Kansas City Chiefs.
I don't know.
I think they look like the Chiefs, but people are playing them at such a top level, and they're just not getting wins.
Look, they got 3 guys. They got Mahomes, they got Kelsey, and they got Tyreek Hill from an offensive standpoint. Their offensive line is new. Okay, sometimes that means that leads to good things. Sometimes it takes them a while to gel. CEH, we can go back to last year where we were not high on CEH. Right. We were like, okay, he falls to the 3rd round, buy the dip.
And he's having the yips right now.
Yeah, he's definitely having the yips right now. But otherwise, like, defenses really aren't, like, they're scheming. They're like, okay, we're not letting Tyreek Hill beat us deep, show us that you can run, okay? Yeah. And then if somebody like McCole Hardman or Robinson beats us, then so be it.
Should we be concerned about Tyreek Hill? Because week 1 he went crazy, but these last 2 weeks he's been...
Put him in a Stephon Diggs category.
Yeah.
Because they need to just go back to what they were doing last year. If you can't get him deep, have McCole Hardman run deep, okay? Let Tyreek Hill go underneath, because even if he catches a ball in that 5 to 10, 15, 20-yard range, he can still take it to the house. Yeah. He's who all the other human joysticks. The
thing about Tyreek Hill, he was taken in the first round in pretty much all the draft. So people...
Remember we had this discussion? I was like, why are people not taking Devontae Adams over Diggs and Hill? It just did not make sense to me.
That was partly because of the Aaron Rodgers trade.
No, but even after the fact, I was like, I don't understand why this is like just not immediately correcting itself.
Yeah.
Because again, we go to that narrow target tree, okay? Because even if Devontae Adams is covered, Aaron Rodgers still throwing him the damn ball because there's not really that many guys who just command the target. So
so let's talk about the Denver Broncos. To me, I don't know whether to start Melvin Gordon, whether to sit him. I've been starting him in some of my leagues. Let's talk about that backfield. How comfortable do you feel with starting Melvin Gordon, knowing that Javonte is right behind him, snatching?
Right now, Melvin Gordon is the one you want to start.
Keep starting
especially
for now, at least.
Especially because the last game, Javonte fumbled at the goal line.
Yeah.
And he immediately saw the bench. Right. Not only that, Melvin Gordon is the one who's in on third down. He's likely going to be the one in on hurry up. Now, we were big, obviously, on the Denver defense because we thought they were just going to be a really, really good defense, and they've had the Chubb injury, but mostly because of their schedule, okay? And now they're entering a phase of their schedule where things are a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I'm jumping ship.
Yeah, I'm letting go all my Denver
I'm
defenses.
ship.
All of them are on waivers right now.
Thank you for your services, but
Exactly. So we may get into situations now where, okay, because again, we'll see how good this Denver defense actually is, but now they're in negative game scripts. It's not going to be Javonte back there. It's going to be Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
He's a better pass protector. He's better out of the backfield on third down situations. So you start him. I feel way more comfortable starting him over like a Myles Gaskin over a Chase Edmonds type. They give me Melvin Gordon all day. There's not too many backfields where there's just one guy just dominating, the touches.
Yeah.
So just look at it. He's the 1A. Javonte's the 1B. I know I know y'all, because I wouldn't. No, I'm joking. But we kind of wanted Javonte to be the guy because he's a young, sexy pick.
I was never there with that. He was just going way too high.
Yeah.
But first of all, you made a little comment that I just want to get past. Like, I still kind of like Chase Edmonds a little bit. I don't want to just. I think it's coming.
I like Melvin Gordon.
I think it's coming. I think it's coming.
Yeah.
But
It's coming.
The thing with Melvin Gordon, the whole offseason or draft season, everybody wanted to pick a side. It's Javonte Williams' backfield or it's Melvin Gordon's backfield. I think we might have to accept the fact that the Broncos are okay with it both being both of their backfields. And whoever produces with the carries produces. I think week 1 they literally had exactly the same amount of snaps or carries. One thing, it was literally split exactly down the middle. Melvin Gordon scored that week 1. It was a nice little run that he had. I don't remember what happened week 2, but last week, Javonte Williams scored first. But then he had that fumble, like you said, and then Melvin Gordon scored later in the game. So they're both getting work. Out of the two, I would prefer Melvin Gordon. Just the trust factor there. He's producing. He looks good. I think we kind of wanted to kind of put him out to pasture.
Stop it. He looks good. Okay, stop it. No. Yeah. No. He looks good. Okay.
I think we wanted to kind of prematurely put him out to pasture for whatever reason. But don't do that. Keep starting Melvin Gordon. If it happens, we'll see it. We're going to see the Broncos, if it happens, start to convert a little bit more to Javonte. But it's not there yet. Keep riding the hot hand, if you will.
And this is not one of those situations where you got this old vet,
like 27, right?
Frank Gore type situation. No, okay, he's good.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking in your head, okay, I'm gonna go trade for Javonte, thinking okay, I mean Melvin Gordon could get injured, that could happen, but the idea that he's just Javonte is just so much better that he's gonna overtake him and relegate Melvin Gordon to the bench and become the lead back, I just don't see happening, barring injury or barring trade.
Now, real quick, before I don't know if you want to move on to another team, but I do want to speak a little bit about these receivers.
Please, important.
We were high on Jerry Jeudy. Super high. First game, he actually did very well, but he got hurt, Nobody can predict injuries. Injuries happen. It's football. They saying he was going to be out, 6 weeks? 4 to 6 weeks
ankle,
or something?
man.
Like
Be
long
careful
time.
with that. Be careful
I was seeing him drop too. Now, I can kind of understand people dropping him because I guess they didn't want to wait that long.
Shallow benches, I don't mind.
But I'm keeping him. I'm keeping Jerry Jeudy. Tim Patrick ended up showing out, doing pretty well.
I love Tim Patrick.
He was doing good. I remember in the group chat, you were like, I'm going to pick up, like immediately after the injury, you're like, I'm picking up Tim Patrick. Yeah. And he's been doing his thing. KJ Hamler has looked good. It's one of those things where if he caught these passes, his stat line would look so much better. But
now he's done. So.
But now he's out. Yeah. So, and then Cortland Sutton, the first game, he didn't look that great, but then the last 2 weeks, he's starting to look like he's getting better. So,
this team has so many wide receivers to start the year.
Yeah. And now it's like, what happened?
Yeah. Even who's the guy? Benson?
Trinity Benson.
Yeah. And
Did they trade him to the Lions or something?
Lions, yeah. They wish they could have that one back, man.
It's like one of those things where it's like that Will Smith meme where he just kind of standing in the living room and everybody like nothing's there, all the furniture's gone. Like what happened? Like we were so deep at first. That's kind of what's happening with the Broncos. And I have been a hater of this guy, but I'll give him his props, especially his last game. I was looking at him very close. He looked good. Teddy Bridgewater. You know,
Yeah,
I've never since the
Told
day
you,
he was
man.
drafted in the NFL, I've been he was wearing gloves to throw passes. Like, what is this? You're a quarterback. Who wears gloves to throw passes?
boy can dance,
I've never
though,
been
too.
I've never been a Teddy Bridgewater fan.
Seen him
I
out
didn't
there
I
with
didn't
the
like
bands, right?
I didn't like how he looked with the Panthers last year, but he looks like he's perfect for what that team needs.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that's all that matters. You know,
And we can't move on too far without talking about McManus. Listen, man.
Oh yeah,
He won me.
Kickers matter.
Wait. No.
We have to kill
Let's
Bill
save
this
that.
one?
Let's save that.
We gotta
I'm
kill
not
Bill
ready.
We're not talking kickers.
All right,
we
all
got to
right.
keep some
I'm
of the
not
edges.
ready yet. We'll get to that one
Yeah.
day.
All right,
Maybe
all
the
right.
second quarter.
We had to
we'll get
keep
that.
some of the edges.
Yeah,
Right,
We'll
okay.
get to that. We'll get to that.
Can't give them all. of it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the Raiders. Listen, the Raiders look good. Specifically, that defense looks good to me. Are the Raiders for real?
Okay, look, no, the Raiders are not for real. But look, the defense is doing some things. I wouldn't
Okay.
say they're a good defense. Okay,
Pretty
they
good
got
pass rush.
They got a
who
pass.
have the Raiders
exactly.
played thus far? They played the Chiefs.
They played
Did
the Ravens.
No, they have not.
No, they played the
Chiefs.
Ravens.
The
They played the
Ravens.
Ravens. Who
Yeah.
else?
They played the Steelers
And the Dolphins.
and the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins. Okay.
Steelers are
Steelers are
frauds.
looking
We
horrible.
knew they were frauds.
The
to begin
Dolphins
with.
have a backup
have had issues.
quarterback.
Yeah,
they
and
have issues.
Baltimore.
So it's
that
really,
was Baltimore's first game.
Yeah.
New line, and they're I'll give
So
the,
we'll see. We'll see. But I do think I saw something recently where I don't know if you want to even call this a stat, but they were saying that the Raiders the last few years have always started off well in the season.
You're right.
I think it was either last year or the year before they were actually in playoff contention like late into the season. They literally just lost the rest of their game and didn't make the playoffs.
It's a game of inches, okay?
Yeah.
Last year, the Raiders were not winning these games. They were missing field goals, or not missing field goals, but they were losing these games at the very, very end. They're always in games. This
Yeah.
year, they're actually winning.
I
games.
mean, we'll see. I don't even.
But it's not.
I still think it's early.
Yeah,
I still think.
I
it's
will
early.
say this though, David Carr is definitely playing much better.
He's playing with a lot more confidence.
A lot more confidence. He's throwing the deep ball. He looks like he's finally meshed and come to just come to this, this, what do you call it? Him and Gruden.
Nexus advantage.
Next is
Synergy.
what?
Maybe I'm thinking Marvel.
I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure out another
That's
one.
it.
But he looks good. He's throwing the deep ball.
Yeah.
So, and I remember that first game we were watching, we were like, okay, this dude is tunnel vision for Waller. But even since then, he's gotten everybody
That's
involved.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And if he
His
can continue
weapons
to
are
do
helping
that,
him out, yeah.
Hunter Renfro, Ruggs, Brian Edwards, these second-year
man.
receivers coming into their own. You obviously got
Brian
Darren Waller
Edwards
there.
looks good. Yeah.
And this O-line that I was worried about, you allowed him, Jacobs. I mean, he scored 2 touchdowns, but Peyton Barber ran
Peyton
for over
Barber.
100 yards. Whether or not this Miami defense, we'll see.
Yeah.
You're right. Right.
But Peyton Barber ran for over 100 yards. But I think it's more so a reflection of teams realize that they have a lot of offensive weapons.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody
And
on the
now
Raiders
that
have looked
opens
good.
up
Yeah.
the run game. Now you need to talk about Kenyon
Wait.
Drake because
Let me give props to Hunter Renfro.
We'll let
Hunter
you rail
Renfro.
on Kenyon Drake.
let me give props to Hunter Renfro because I've disrespected him since he was drafted, since he was at Clemson. But he's just doing his thing.
Yeah.
So respect to Hunter Renfro if you're watching, man.
Sure.
Props
Hunter
to you,
Renfro
man.
is watching our podcast.
Props to you, man. Make sure Hunter Renfro sees that.
he's
'cause-
good, man.
Yeah, hey.
He is good.
Yeah,
and the
I
thing
know.
is, he'll just be sitting out on waivers. And then
No,
nobody wants him.
And then guys like Quintez Cephas and I don't know, random guys would just go ahead him. He'll just be sitting there and he'll just be putting up double-digit points week in and week out.
I know, man. I was one of those dudes,
But
man.
yeah, Kenyon Drake.
I'm still not gonna pick him up though. But go
Kenyon
ahead.
Drake.
Yeah.
He's not a handcuff you want. I'm not saying he's
Well,
not
he's
valuable.
not a handcuff. He's not a handcuff.
But the people were drafting him with the idea, okay, he's gonna have some standalone value. But then if Jacob goes down, oh man, league winner.
But
he's not that.
But remember,
That's all I
and
want to say.
I said this in the group chat. We were saying that when literally there was no other running backs on the Raiders team.
But what does that tell you? This is not the first time we've seen Kenyon Drake vanish and
Yeah, but
offensive coordinators and head
it's-
coaches say, nah, bro.
But it's context.
Nah, we
it's
can't.
context.
Nah,
This is
we
the
good.
first year
I'm good.
he was with the Raiders. We don't know how the Raiders were going to use him.
Yeah. But they did say that though. They did say that they valued him in the passing game.
Yeah.
And they said that they valued Jacobs in the run
the
game.
thing
And then
that-
when they asked him when Jacobs got injured, he kept talking about Peyton Barber. He didn't even mention
No,
Kenyon
but
Drake.
that's what I'm saying. The thing that changed was they added Peyton Barber.
Yeah.
From, I don't even know if it was waiver, they just signed him,
Yeah.
who was initially with the Redskins.
Yeah.
And when we used to talk about the Redskins and their backfield, I used to at least mention that, hey, Barber is still there to just interrupt things. You know, he's just an annoyance.
Yeah.
And remember the day they finally waived Barber? I went in the group chat, I was like, finally, he's gone. You know, like he's no longer going to be an issue for them. But now he's an issue for freaking Raiders. Yeah. And he looked good last game at least. Yeah. So, I mean, if you got a running back like that and you have Drake, you're going to use that running back as the bell cow or between the tackle guy. And he made the most of his touches. So, situation changed.
Yeah, Drake does not pass block well, and he does not run very well in between the tackles. Yeah. Drake, he's just not a good. He has terrible vision.
Now I'll say this: Drake almost did score a touchdown in his last game. He got stopped at the one. He like was trying to like dive into the end zone, but you know
he's athletic. I mean, like, but they're being very smart. That's how you get him the ball. You get him in space. And I'm not saying cut him. He definitely has some value, especially in the passing game. But he's just not.
He has a nice floor, and you know if he ever scores a touchdown, it'll look good. But I mean, he's not a high end player.
When Josh Jacobs comes back, do you think that Peyton Barber sort of eats into?
I'm a little bit worried about that because if I'm an offensive coordinator, I got to think to myself, this guy just came back off an injury. We've seen Peyton Barber run pretty well. Okay, he has a good sense of what how to kind of run in between the tackles and get positive yards and not negative yards. Why not spell Jacobs?
No way.
So that's my concern is that, like, okay, yes, Jacob is going to be the obvious 1A, but now instead of just having Jacobs and Kenyon Drake, now Peyton Barber's getting like 5 to 7 touches a game.
So, okay, I get what you're saying, and I agree. But if you knew if you're the offensive coordinator and you knew Jacobs was 100% healthy, so it's not even a concern as far as him re-aggravating or any kind of thing. But if you knew, okay, Jacobs is ready to go, do you think they're still going to utilize Barber? Because I don't.
If I'm an offensive coordinator, absolutely. It's a 17-game season.
So you think
I
they're gonna
know Jacobs can't stay healthy.
Gotcha.
He has never been proven to stay healthy.
Gotcha.
He has issues that remain a chronic issue, shoulders, foot. Like, these things are not things that are just going to vanish.
Right.
Yeah. And if I think I'm, like, playoff bound,
especially
I'm 3-0.
That's what I was going to say.
Like, yeah.
Okay, so then let me ask this.
Fresh.
Let me ask this. Because this scenario is going to play out. Jacobs is going to eventually come back. And then people with their teams are going to have to make a decision. Am I going to hold on to Barber?
Oh, hell
or
no.
am I going to cut them? And then,
actually, no, I shouldn't say that. Back up. I like the idea. I'm actually mad at myself. I don't have a lot of Jacobs teams, but we talked about, in the group chat how Peyton Barber was just like the easiest $1 ad. He's that guy that like everybody disrespects. We can question not whether or not we thought Miami was a great, run defense. I definitely, didn't feel comfortable just starting him in all my lineups. He wasn't like an automatic start like Madison. Yeah. But we now know that. So you have to ask yourself, okay, if I'm a Jacobs owner, knowing his injury history, do I want to handcuff him myself? Yeah. Or even if not, if you're another owner who doesn't have Jacobs, do I want to just handcuff him myself? And what I would do is I would look down at that schedule. If I see a schedule where, like, okay, man, these are some tough run defenses for, like, a good 3 to 4 week period, I'm not holding up Jacobs for 3 to 4 weeks.
Barber, you mean?
Yeah, Barber for 3 to 4 weeks, with Jacob healthy just to see. Because even if Jacobs gets hurt, I'm not really going to want to start him anyway.
Right. Because that's a decision owners are going to have to make soon. Because what's going to happen is Jacobs is eventually going to come back.
Maybe this week.
And he might end up having a game where he gets most of the carries. Yeah. So then people are going to decide at this point, do I keep holding on to Barber? Or do I just cut bait and rock with Jacobs? And then it might be a situation where you kind of go talking like, oh, then Barber ends up being a waiver ad again in week 6 or week 7. So,
But that thought process is so important because, as I'm kind of going through waivers and I'm thinking about, like, who do I want to drop, I literally go through that exact same thought processes. And there are guys like, for instance, Justin Jackson. Okay, I know that Eckler has issues staying healthy. I'm not 100% sure on like who would get the majority of touches and whether or not they would even like really just give running backs with their touches. Yeah.
So I think it's Larry Roundtree, but I don't know.
And we don't know. So like now, like I have the these Justin Jackson shares, and now I'm like, okay, because there's always guys on the waiver that I'm just like, okay, I just want to see. I want to get them while they're cheap, and I want to see.
You want to stay ready.
Exactly. So Justin Jackson's been a guy that like, okay, like, based off kind of, what this looks like, what this offense looks like, the ambiguity in this backfield, I'm okay cutting bait with him. As opposed to like obviously Alexander Madison, which I'm just, you're not going to see me hold, and other guys that we will not talk about on this podcast.
Let's move on to the Chargers. Let's move on to the Chargers for a second because, listen, the AFC West, I mean, like, that's a tough division. The Chargers look really, really good. Mike Williams looks really, really good.
That was my sleeper pick. I think week
Man,
3.
you
sure
man,
was.
It's happening, man. Boy, it's happening, man.
If there is one, if you just could pick one guy and say, okay, who's this year's league winner? I mean, if you're not saying Mike Williams,
Hey,
like
man,
you like,
Ooh, he
I got to
looks
give you
good,
credit
man.
for that because not
He
only
looks
is he
good.
producing, I mean, he doesn't look like amazing, but he looks good.
Yeah.
He looks good enough.
He's like playing
looks good
in his
enough.
body. Like
Right.
he's always been a big body, like
Mm-hmm.
imposing, and now he's actually imposing his will on people. You
And
know
he
what I'm
finally
saying?
has a full route tree
Yeah.
as well. Like, he's not just catching just the deep ball.
Yeah.
So
and
what
he's
about,
healthy too. So
right. But what about Keenan Allen? Like, how are we feeling about Keenan Allen at this point
Not so
and moving
good.
forward?
you don't like him? You're not
I
feeling
like
good?
him. I like him. Honestly, like you're gonna start him every week. I think he's
Yeah.
producing, but the idea of him, like I don't know. When I draft guys in the third round, I'm like, man, I hope that this guy can produce second round value. If I draft a guy in the second round, I'm hoping this guy can produce first round value. I think he's
Right.
just gonna give you third round value.
Right. He's still getting the targets though,
Yeah.
and he actually scored this last game.
Yeah.
And I think he scored the last 2 games.
He's not getting targets like last year though.
No, he's not. He's not, definitely not doing that.
And that's what Keenan Allen is.
One of the touchdowns, either this past week or the week before, was called back due to a penalty. I think it was illegal formation or something like that. So his numbers could look a lot better. I still like him, but again, he's not ascending as far as the ceiling. He's not looking better than his value. He's looking either at value or a little bit lower in value. But I don't want to ignore how great Herbert is looking.
Yeah.
And as long as Herbert is still looking as amazing as he's
My
looking,
God.
I want whatever weapons
Yeah.
are with that guy
Now.
whatsoever, just bring them on.
Yeah.
I was not high on Herbert, although I actually
No,
ended
you
up with
wasn't.
I ended up with a lot of like main event Herbert shares.
Good job. It's
But-
got in there somehow.
But I got him in the 8th, 9th round, and I love Herbert there.
yeah.
Not in the 6th round,
Right.
Which is like I did like because he just doesn't run as much,
Right.
So he has to like come through in the air.
Right.
If he doesn't come through in the air, then it hurts you,
Right.
Okay, but that being said, like in terms of just like eye test, in terms of like actual NFL, man, if I'm a Chargers fan, like
Bruh.
Herbert looks
Bruh,
amazing.
man, like
Yeah.
you're right. Like forget fantasy.
He looks
just,
amazing.
Just the way he looks.
Yeah.
He looks like a star.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like you just said, if you're a Chargers fan, you should be super excited.
Yeah.
If you're a Dolphins fan, you should be shaking your head. Every time you watch the Chargers play, you should be like,
But nobody had. I mean, I didn't.
I didn't either.
But
I
don't
actually
follow
like
college
to.
that. Yeah,
I
don't follow
like
college.
to, but
And I will say this about Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Okay, Mike Williams just looks like that, alpha in terms of where teams were like, okay, we gotta like make sure we scheme, or at least like have multiple eyes on Keenan Allen, and they were just kind of like leaving Mike Williams kind of like one-on-one. You can't do that anymore,
No.
especially in the red zone because he is like the first I always talk about like when you're watching these games, try to just get a good sense of like you're in the red zone or just like throughout the game, like where's the quarterback's eyes going first? And in the red zone, they're looking at Mike Williams, and they have specific design plays, and rightfully so. Okay, we're only
remember
a
they
couple
said he was
years
supposed
removed.
to be the Michael Thomas of the
Yeah.
offense now.
So one thing that may happen is now, again, look at the season in 3 to 4 week increments in quarters. Teams are now going to realize that, especially in the red zone. So we may see just a little bit more kind of revert back to a regression towards Keenan Allen.
yeah.
But Mike Williams looks amazing right
Now, what are we thinking about Eckler?
I like him. I think he was
I
good
like
where
him.
he
I
was
think he
going.
looks good.
Okay.
I mean, Dorsey, shout out to Dorsey.
Yeah, Dorsey, 100.
But he's not
Dorsey
getting
took
100% of the
Eckler
carries.
every
True
single
thing.
draft. Dorsey didn't care if he was pick 1 or pick 12.
Yeah.
He's drafting Austin
does
Eckler.
not matter, yeah.
But I was talking to Dorsey about it recently. He likes what Eckler's doing as far as production, but he's also saying he's a little disappointed he's not seeing a blow up Eckler type game, and that's what he's.
That's because of
wanting
Mike
to
Williams.
see.
And that's what I was saying is just like, you're not going to have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler just like destroy
go off.
ADP.
Yeah.
It's so very tough. And then you still even have guys like Jared Cook. We haven't seen the Jared Cook week yet, and that's going to come. And then we're going to see the Josh Palmer
Yeah, he's
week.
been okay.
He's been okay. But what I would say with Eckler, and this is the reason that I was drafting him, because there's this narrative that like, oh, Eckler doesn't get carries, next to the goal line. And my whole thought process behind this was like, it's not the same coaching staff. You cannot you can't even use that logic.
Context change.
You cannot that to me was like so irrelevant.
Yeah.
You had an OC who's coming from using, and I keep telling Dorsey this. Eckler is not Alvin Kamara. Okay, they are not one and the same. When it comes to like running in between the tackles, they're not the same. Okay, but still, you had an OC coming from the Saints who gave Alvin Kamara plenty of goal line carries. So the reason I liked Eckler is because I said, okay, he's going to do what he's been doing, but now he's likely going to get these goal line carries as well. And he's been in there at the goal line. Yeah. So
he's doing okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
By the way, I didn't forget about our side bet.
What's the side bet?
You were supposed to bring food because we had
Oh
the
yeah,
side
you
bet
sure was. Tell the folks what the side bet was.
So we had a side bet of
He
who's
barely
going.
won.
I know you did.
Doesn't matter.
I stayed out of it.
Who's going to have the most fantasy points between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? And Mike Williams pulled it out.
Yeah. Stephon Diggs was a little bit more on Keenan Allen to that game, I think.
Well, I mean, that's something that you should have factored in.
You mean
Travion Diggs. Yeah.
Or Trevor
Well,
Diggs,
we only 2 weeks in. I needed a few more data points. But
All
let's
right,
go.
but I need a few more wings over there or something. But
Next time.
Oh, that was today?
that's it.
Okay, we got you next 5. Next quarter. Second quarter, we got you.